Sir, he was playing the tambourine.
Recording in progress. Please accept it, take it, or leave it, as they say. We are in the book of Jeremiah, and today we're going to finish the story of Jeremiah. It's kind of sad because all of his life, he kept on telling people about God, to turn away and come back to God, but nobody ever listened to him. Instead, they just punished him, and they threw him into prison. That's what we talked about yesterday. Let's see what happened. So he stayed in prison for a long time until, hey, King Zedekiah has sent for you, somebody said. You were found leaving the city when he was arrested. They're talking about that. I was going to buy some property because I don't care. I know you're not defecting to Babylon. What I want to know is, do you have a message from God for me? Yes, says Jeremiah. You will be handed over to the Babylonians. Do you like my theatrics? I guess you do.
Yes, sir.
Shh, don't interrupt me. No. Okay. Thanks for being honest. Why am I in prison? Asks Jeremiah. I've committed no crime. Please don't send me back to that cell. I'll die there. Zedekiah, King Zedekiah, had mercy. He chained Jeremiah in the courtyard of the guard, and he was allowed visitors, but not allowed to leave. All is in order. The purchase has been made. Somebody says, what are they talking about? After a time, you continue to prophesy about our defeat. Why not just stop? A while ago, the Lord told me I'd receive a visitor, Jeremiah said. My cousin, he came as God said. He wanted me to buy a field in the territory of Benjamin, where I was going before I was arrested. So I did. It's all official. I have the paperwork in here. Do you know why? So he was supposed to buy a piece of land. But why? What's the point of buying the piece of land before people would be taken to Babylon as slaves? He explains, this clay jar protects the deed, protects the contract for the land. The Lord says this nation will burn, but he will preserve his people. One day, people will buy and sell the land here again. He says it's not pointless. Buying the land is not pointless because people will come back after 70 years. And that's why having this jar with a contract for buying the land, it was a sign. It was God's way of saying that people will come back, even though they have to go. Let's continue. The Lord says, I made the earth, call out, and I will answer you. Jerusalem will be lifeless like desert. But the Lord says, I will heal my people. Other nations say, God has turned his back on us, but God remembers his covenant. He will bless and love his people again. My Lord and King, Jeremiah's call to surrender to Babylon is treason. He should be executed. My son speaks true. Jeremiah's words destroy the hope of our people and the hope of our soldiers. They wonder why they should even fight. I put him in your hands, says the king. So they say, because of Jeremiah, people are losing hope. Jeremiah says that you will be taken to Babylon. No matter what you do, just give up and stop fighting. And they're saying, because of Jeremiah, soldiers are not fighting. They do not want to fight. They just want to surrender. We cannot do that, they say. But they are actually, when they say that, they're going against God. And so, now, no one will hear your bleak prophecies of doom and gloom. Yes, Jeremiah was called a prophet of doom and gloom. The prophets who always predict something bad happening in the future, they're called prophets of doom and gloom. So Jeremiah was thrown into a well, a deep well. He was unseen, but he was not forgotten. See, first he was thrown into a prison. Now he's thrown into a deep well to die there. Have I been forsaken? He asks. Will I die here? Word spread through the city about what had happened. King Zedekiah, have you heard what has happened to your prophet Jeremiah? This person came and actually talked to the king. How does it concern you? A foreign official, Ebed-Melech, that's his name. It concerns me because starving a man to death in a dried up well is an evil thing. What do you want? I follow your God and I want to help a man of God, he says. And so they throw this rope with some kind of clothes, couple of clothes over there, and they say, put the rags under your arms to pad the ropes. He puts it under his armpits and they pull him out. I must thank you, Abimelech, says Jeremiah. Terrible things are about to happen. The Lord says that because you trust in him, you will escape and be spared. Zedekiah has demanded you see him alone. So again, King Zedekiah wants to talk to Jeremiah, and he asks, I have a question for you and need honesty. Why? You'll not listen as usual, and I'm not changing what I have to say to you. So the king continuously wants the future to change. He's hoping that God will change his mind, and Jeremiah continuously tells him, no, God will not change his mind. The Lord has decided to give us over to Babylon. If you surrender to God's will, not to Babylon. But I'm afraid, says King Zedekiah, the throne is not mine by rights. I'll be handed over to the Jews in Babylon and they'll hurt or kill me. So he's afraid of people actually taking some kind of action against him and killing him. No, Jeremiah says, obey the Lord and all will go well for you, but disobey and many more will suffer. I will consider it, says Zedekiah. Do not tell anyone we spoke. Jeremiah was returned to the courtyard again. He was imprisoned continuously. In Zedekiah's 11th year, the armies of Babylon took over. Zedekiah did not surrender, as Jeremiah continuously told him, surrender to Babylon and you will be surrendering to God. He did not surrender. Instead, he ran. When he and his officials were captured, his family was killed in front of his eyes. Then his eyes were removed. They poked his eyes out, actually, Zedekiah's, and they took him to Babylon. They looted the city and temple.
How do they remove the eyes?
Yes, they poked his eyes out. Babylonians, they were kind of very cruel people too, just like Assyrians. They looted the city and the temple, taking priests and advisors and officials captive. They took everybody. And this is the end of the book of Jeremiah. There's another book that he wrote called Lamentations, which is kind of him crying about Jerusalem and all the things that happened to Jerusalem. But it was God's plan. And you can see how sad kind of Jeremiah's life is. Like all of his life, he kept on telling people God's message and nobody listened to him. And everybody actually did opposite of what he told them to do. And whatever he prophesied actually did happen, but nobody ever listened. Yes, let's read. Things get messy. Any volunteers to read? We have Isit. Please read it for us.
Okay, so wait. Things get messy. Jeremiah told those who were still in Jerusalem that they would not be killed in battle or die of starvation if they surrendered to the Babylonians. But when the leaders heard Jeremiah's message, they wanted to tell King Zedekiah and ask that he be killed. The king answered, do whatever you want to do with him. So the men took Jeremiah and threw him into a deep, muddy pit, thinking that he would soon die. However, when two of the men working in the palace heard what the others had done, they went and told the king, who ordered them to go pull Jeremiah out. The men went to the storeroom where they got old clothes for Jeremiah to put under his armpits, and they let a rope and pulled him out.
Yes, that's what happened in today's story. Can people change God's plan for my life? Let's read. Kind of curious, aren't you, what it's about? Any volunteers who don't usually read? Who doesn't usually read? Any volunteers who don't usually read? Can I ask somebody who doesn't usually read? Abhinesh, would you like to read? I don't remember even what your voice sounds like. Abhinesh, read for us, please.
Okay, sir. Can people change God's plan for my life? Nothing and no one can take you out of God's will or change his plan for your life. God already knew about every part of your life before you were born. He has wonderful and perfect plan worked out for you. There were three kinds of people who changed things of Jeremiah. Those who were against Jeremiah because of his mistake. The king who didn't really care what happened to Jeremiah and Jeremiah's friends who risked their lives to help him by speaking to the king. When Jesus was on earth, there were people who wanted to crucify him. There was Pilate, the governor, who didn't want to get involved. And then there were friends of Jesus. God allowed people to bring trouble and change in the lives of Jeremiah and Jesus. And through people his will was done, just as Jesus prayed that it would. Luke 22:42.
That's right. No matter what happens, God's plan for your life will not be changed. People cannot change what God has planned. Zedekiah, he wanted things to change. He continuously talked to Jeremiah, asking him, pleading him, asking him the same thing again and again and again to see if God's plan would change, but it never actually changed. And people can never change God's plan for my life or for your life. His plan will not be changed. Let's read the verse for today. Ready, go. Jesus said, my sheep listen to my voice.
Jesus said, my sheep listen to my voice, and I know
My
it.
voice, I know
Follow
them.
me and
And they follow
put
me.
my
None can
hand.
snatch them out of my hand.
Them out of my hand. John 10, 20 and 28.
Verse 28.
That's right. Verse 28, 27, 28. Yeah, when troubles happen in our lives, it is God's plan as well. For some reason, God allows troubles to happen in our lives, right? It's not always nice. It's not always pleasing. Sometimes it's actually painful. But like we talked about it yesterday, didn't we? Just like rocks on the beach, the rough rocks, they're being washed by the water, by the waves. They become smoother and smoother and smoother. In the same way, problems and troubles in our lives, they make us more like diamonds. And one day, you and I will become diamonds. Literal diamonds? No, I don't think we'll become actual diamonds. We'll still be people, but we would be just like diamonds. Perfect in every way. Well, not 100% perfect, but as perfect as possible. God is shaping us. He's the potter, and we are the clay. Not literal clay, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not calling you mud. It's like saying you're clay, mud blood. Anybody has anything to say? Any comments?
So no comments, but shall we play the quiz that guy innocent? Together, please.
Yeah, we can
All
play
together.
after it's over. We can play, right?
You
Sir, I
may,
cannot play
may
because
better.
we are having power cut now.
Yeah, I can see it's very dark.
My phone
And I
battery is
thought,
already
Excuse me,
drained.
sir, it's better if you stop the recording.
oh yeah.